love. Love makes the world go round, and it's so cool that in today's age we have all of these tools to help us be a better partner for our person. So I'm going to be talking about some of Alison Armstrong's work. I adore her. She has completely changed my life, and I'm so excited to tell you more about her. I've been thinking about doing this video for some time now, and I'm super excited. So when I talk to my girlfriends, to my guy friends, basically anyone who's interested in a romantic relationship, I'm always talking about Alison Armstrong and how she totally changed my life. And I did a video a long time ago on the Queen's Code. You guys have really seemed to like that one. So you should watch it. I will link it here below. And it doesn't stop at the Queen's Code. So what I wanted to create, it's almost like a primer of Alison Armstrong content, specifically on Audible and basically anything that's on print. I have all of her stuff, and I've listened to it, read it multiple times. This is my Queen's Code right here. And as you can tell, it has a bunch of tabs and like notes, and let's see, I have like notes and highlighting. Like, this is serious stuff, because what I tell people is I went to school for a long ass time. I went to undergrad, and then I went to law school. And basically any time that I wanted to be really good at something, I studied, I became an expert. And I think it's so funny that when it comes to our romantic relationships and our love life, we don't do the same. And I'm so excited to have the relationship of my dreams, and I've been doing the work, and I did a 14-month relationship course that was incredible. Totally changed my life as well. And then after that, I started doing the Tony Robbins stuff. I'll do a different video just on everything that I've learned about Tony, from Tony, and how that's also completely changed my life. And when it comes to relationships, one of the best teachers I have is Alison Armstrong. And I'm so excited to share more about everything that I've read and my recommendations in terms of how you should access her content. So I do think that in print, I think there's only two. I think I bought everything that was a book. So on print, I have a couple of books. So I have the Queen's Code. If you are a woman who has any sort of relationship with a man, please do yourself a favor and read the Queen's Code. I have read this, I don't know how many times. I joke around, I tell people I'm like getting a master's in men. She's basically the professor of learning how to be a good partner to men. So there's the Queen's Code, which is I totally changed my life. Gentlemen, if you want to read the Queen's Code, I think it'll give you an appreciation for women. What it gave me was there are like no words. It just gave me an appreciation of men and why they do the things they do, and it allowed me to go through the world just being able to better appreciate and understand and have compassion, and it makes all the difference. So for the gentleman, if you were interested in reading the Queen's Code, you should definitely read it. It would give you, I think, an insight into what a woman who has done the work to be a good partner, where she's going to be coming from and the sort of information that she has access to. I have also read The Way of the Superior Man, which is a book for men, but I wanted to read it because I wanted to understand what sort of information, like men were being taught in terms of being a good partner, or just being, the best, their best self in a relationship. And so I learned tons, specifically about polarity. It was super illuminating to read The Way of Superior Man. So that's not Alison Armstrong, that is David Data, I believe. And I totally recommend also reading that. So I'll be going through my list, very long list, of Audible Alison books. And I also have The Way of the Superior Man on Audible for the ladies. It's basically, yeah, it's David Data. It's kind of like, I don't want to call it porn, but as you're reading it as a woman who does self-development and, you know, is a conscious human being, you're reading it and you're like, oh my god, a man like this would be amazing. So, ladies, I also do recommend reading it. So, little aside, not an Alison Armstrong recommendation, but also just in terms of being an amazing partner to the person that you are with, that is also a good one. Okay, so the other one that I have that is on print is by Alison Armstrong, is Making Sense of Men. Now, it's tiny, and I thought it was very repetitive of everything that I had learned from her other work. So I would definitely say you don't need to buy it. It's great if you have never accessed any of Alison Armstrong's work. Sure, get it, you're gonna learn a lot. But I would recommend just listening to the Audible recommendations that I'm going to talk about. Okay, Audible. You guys know I love books, and so this is awesome because I get to talk about books and relationships in love, which is awesome. So, let's look for the Alison Armstrong. So, the first one that comes to mind that you guys should know about is Keys to the Kingdom. So, before the Queen's Code is Keys to the Kingdom. This is when Karen first meets Claudia, the grandmother. This is only going to make sense to you if you've already read the Queen's Code. You can start, I would just say like start, if you're, these recommendations are mostly going to be for the ladies. If there is a recommendation for men, I will say that this is a recommendation for men. Otherwise, assume it's for women. Okay, so I would say ladies, definitely start with the Queen's Code. It'll change your life, it changed my life. I have recommended it to so many girlfriends, and after that they are changed women, and they go like, oh my god, thank you, I'm showing up in my relationship in such a, it just like, their whole attitude, demeanor, everything changes, and it's so beautiful to watch. I definitely started myself, and it's just such a better way to go through life. Okay, so start with Queen's Code. After Queen's Code, you could do Keys to the Kingdom, especially if you're already married and there are some frustrations that you have within your marriage. You're like, oh, I wish this happened differently, or why do these things happen? Then I think that reading Keys to the Kingdom could be a good next step. Although I would say that a good next step after reading the Queen's Code is going to The Amazing Development of Men. So all these books are written by Alison. So The Amazing Development of Men, it's going to give you an understanding as to the stages of development that Alison, so she says that she's been studying men, that she has like a PhD in men. She's been studying men all her life. And so she saw some patterns, and she gave them these like easy to access names in terms of the patterns of the stages of development as a man goes through his life. And so she talks about that in the Amazing Development of Men. And so you get to learn about how men relate to different stages of their life and what that means if you are in partnership with a man who is in such stage. And so what I think it allows for is a lot of empathy and compassion, and being able to be like, okay, well, this wasn't personal, right? Like he's in this sort of stage, and it doesn't mean, ladies, that you shouldn't have boundaries and that you shouldn't do what feels right for you. It just allows for a different level of compassion and empathy and understanding that allows people. So Alison talks about, and I love this, she talks about how women think that men are hairy hairy women who are misbehaving, right? And I think it's really funny, and that women, we have this ideal, the ideal woman, and we're always comparing ourselves to the ideal woman. Like, what would the ideal woman do? The ideal woman would she would be perfect, she would never mess up. And so that's sort of the standard that we hold ourselves up to. But the thing that we do is then we also hold men to that same, the ideal woman standard, which then treats them as women, not as men. And I know this is politically incorrect to say, but I do believe it, and I'm just gonna hold my truth and what rings true for me. We are different. Like, there are chemical differences in our brain. We are different, and I think, anyways, I've gotten to the conclusion where I feel comfortable just being like, we're different, we operate in different ways. So she says they're men, women are different. Let's understand our differences so we can be in partnership together. Rather than allowing caveman or cavewoman to show up to the partnership dance, let's allow our most gracious spirit to be the person that shows up. And to do that, you need to know how it is that you can be the best partner. Anyway, so back to the amazing development of men, you learn about men and how they relate, how you can relate to your partner throughout these stages and just have more empathy and compassion. And it's been incredible, you know, as I think of my little brother, as I think of my dad, as I think of the friends in my life, the ways that I relate to them, I definitely think about the stage that they're in. And I think, especially if you're a mom and if you're having some trouble with like a teenage boy, you might want to read it just to be able to understand where your son is. Okay. So that's the amazing development of men. I definitely say that is a must read. Okay. So the next ones, so I already talked about Keys to the Kingdom. Definitely read it. It wasn't as like earth-shattering as the Queen's Code for me. Definitely still a good read. You still learn a lot of good stuff, especially about how to be in partnership with your partner. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Celebrating Partnership. That one is like earth-shattering, incredible, oh my god, I can't believe no one teaches us how to be in partnership in these ways kind of content. So in Celebrating Partnership, she talks about how we can show up for each other in ways where we're really working together in partnership, right? We're not just showing up as a man and showing up as a woman and being like, well, deal with it. We are understanding our differences, and we're having conversations, we're making deals, we're understanding where the other person's coming from, we're understanding if you had it all your way, what would things look like? And you know, just think of how often within your relationship do you ask your partner, if you had it all your way, what would things look like? And then really sitting there and listening to what they say. And then you get to talk about, if you had it all your way, what would things look like? And then after you have that understanding, then you're able to have a conversation about how you can make that work for both of you. But unless if you have that conversation around, you know, like, how can we both, like, what would it look like for me to have it all my way? Then you would never know that, like, maybe your partner's gonna surprise you and be like, I can do that. I can totally do that. Not only can I do that, I'm excited to do that. So, amazing book. If you are married, if you are in any sort of partnership, please read it. It is a definite must read. It'll make relationships stronger if you already have one. When you get into one, I think it'll allow you to show up as a better partner. Super excited for you to read this. The next one that I'm going to talk about is In Sync with the Opposite Sex. So if you're dating, if you're not yet in a relationship, if you are going through that relationship dance and figuring things out, and I know it can be confusing and it can be like, oh my god, well, what's happening and why are they doing that? This is where also our differences come in, right? In the whole relationship dance. And so I would say, even if you're not dating, especially if you're dating right now, you're like looking for your right person, read this book. It's going to help so much. And I would say, if you are already in a relationship, definitely read the book, because I think it'll it'll speak to some differences that you're seeing in how you relate to each other, just because, you know, women, men, difference. All right, so one takeaway. I know this is gonna be a longer video, but this is good stuff. I'm just super excited to share this with you. As you can tell, I'm like super fired up about the subject. I talk about it all the time. I love her. Changed my life. So one idea that I think it was from In Sync with the Opposite Sex that has been huge is Alison talks about holding the bucket. And so gentlemen, pay attention to this one. So holding the bucket, it's a funny term, but it's so true. So when a woman, when like something happens in her day, or she's just feeling a lot of emotions, she has the necessity, the feeling like she just needs to speak about it and talk to someone and not necessarily have them fix it. You've probably heard that before, but just hold the bucket. Honey. And then what happened? And then what do they say? So as a partner, whoever you are, you just like hold the bucket. And I have had men and women, you know, like men who were like knew about Alison's work and be like, yeah, I'm just holding the bucket. And my girlfriends, and I was like, well, this is what's happening. I just like need to talk it out, and I need you to hold the bucket for me. So after the woman has been able to just like talk, then she's able to feel spaciousness. She's able to feel like she can be present with you. And isn't that so cool? So it doesn't mean you don't have to fix it. You can even ask the person that you're with, what do you want me to say? How can I be most supportive? So pretty cool stuff. There's other goodies from that one. There are these, gentlemen, beware. There are these untalked about milestones or like deadlines that apparently all of us women agreed upon in terms of the dating, like how it proceeds. And so Alison speaks to those, and it's funny because I was listening to it, I was like, that's funny. Somehow we all did come to the agreement as to like these like numbers. And so she speaks to these deadlines that, gentlemen, if you have been dating a lady for some time, you probably want to know about. So must read, definitely a good one. Then there's Understanding Women. I listen to it sometimes. I think Alison, I love her, but sometimes I think she went a little bit the other way, where she's like, I don't think she's as empathetic towards women as she is towards men. I love her because it's taught me to appreciate and love men, and I think men are the best. I love you ladies as well, but I just like have a bigger understanding and appreciation for men that I didn't have before. So thank you, Alison, for that. But when it comes to women, I think sometimes she can be a little bit like, it's not like we're doing things because we're trying to be, you know, like a pain or something. I think most women and men go into most situations trying to be the best that they can, right? And so there's definitely stuff to learn. I would definitely say, gentlemen, you should definitely listen to Understanding Women. There's the funny way of the way that women like talk about their day or relay information. For Alison talks about how for men it's like, you know, like you sharpen stone, and at the end there's a point. And so when a man is talking about a thing, there's a point and you get to it as quickly as possible. But with women, there's like a meadow and you are going to your destination, but on the meadow you see some flowers and some berries, and so you talk about this, and then that happened, and then that happened, and then the gentleman might be thinking, well, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? Anyway, so just different ways of relating. So gentlemen, if you want to understand the lady or the ladies in your life more, you definitely should read Understanding Women. I think that's everything that's on Audible. So yes, as you can tell, I'm super excited. Love her stuff. Other books that I would recommend, if you haven't already, this is going to be non-Alison Armstrong. If you haven't already read The 5 Love Languages, read it. It is critical, absolutely important. I learned so many things after the fact that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, of course that happened, or like, you know, just duh after the fact. So super important information of how we receive appreciation and how we give appreciation and how we can be a better partner for the person in our life. There's also Attached. That's a different book. So I'm gonna walk over and bring them this way. I love books. Okay, so Love Languages. This is by Gary Chapman. This is a must read if you're in a relationship. Actually, like, this is also really good for at work, understanding the appreciation, how your coworkers, how your employees receive appreciation. Huge. Next one that I talked about is Attached by Levine. So super important. I learned so much. I was able to gain compassion and empathy for people in my life. And I learned so much about myself, and I learned, when I do go into a relationship, it gave me the freedom to be like, oh, well, that type doesn't work for me at all, and I'm making a call. The next one that I recommend that is absolutely amazing, and this is mostly for ladies. I think this is a terrible title, so Hussy, if you're listening to this, love your book, love your work, love your videos. I think there's so much more in this book than the title. I think it's an unfortunate title. So it's called Get the Guy, but it is about so much. I really don't love the title. It's an amazing, incredible book that really helps you, especially if you are just like either coming back to dating or you're in that dating process, and you feel, I don't know, like for the professional ladies out there, you're like out there working and you're like CEO and you're running your company, and then you're like, oh shit, how do I flirt? I know that I had to like remember, be like, oh my god, how do I do this? I know how to run like a board meeting, I know how to do that, but like talk to a guy. And so that was super helpful. I really recommend it. I've read it a bunch of times. Hussy, great work. Okay, the next one, basically anything by Gottman. So you've probably heard about Gottman. He has a bunch of books. He set up this what did he call it? The Love Tank. It was basically like a love research center. He studied a bunch of couples, and within like 5 minutes he was able to gauge which ones were going to stay together, which ones were not going to stay together, and he was able to parse apart like trends and patterns and what makes for a healthy relationship, not healthy relationship. One of the goodies from this one is this is what makes love last. But I think there's a better one. I have all his stuff. But one concept that he talks about is turning away from or turning towards your partner. So if your partner is basically reaching out to you for whatever reason, you have a couple of options, right? You can turn away from your partner and be like, oh, that's dumb, like, I can't believe that you brought that up. Or you can be like, oh yes, honey, like, what was that? And that makes a huge difference, and it can be very telling of if a relationship's going to last or not last. Okay, so that was a lot of books. This is probably a long video, but good stuff. I hope you listen through the end. I am wishing you love and purposeful partnership and conscious partnership, and that you are able to show up for the person and the people in your life, whether it be your romantic partner or your family or your friends, whoever it might be, in just more beautiful ways, where we are able to appreciate who we are, our differences, and we're able to celebrate everything that makes us, exactly who we are. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I have videos coming out every week, maybe even more, but for now, once a week for sure. And also, this is new, I'm doing some executive coaching, some high performance coaching. So if you go to lucygonzalez.com, you can learn whether it might be the right fit to work with me. If you're looking for someone to kick your butt, to make you play a bigger game in life, then we should talk, and you should definitely fill out a form, and you can submit an application to see if it's the right fit for us. So thank you so much for being on my channel. Love you all so much, and I will catch you next time.